Ready to take your blues rhythm playing to the next level? In this video, we're diving into 3 examples ranging from dead simple to advanced that will help your blues rhythm playing go beyond the shuffle. Let's dive in with our first example. Most of the chords in this lesson use 2 or 3 notes from the chord that we're implying. It really helps the tones stand out when you're jamming with another guitarist or even with a full band. We see these stripped down chords plainly on display in example 1. Actually, we're only playing 2 notes at a time, and we're moving very little, even as the chords change. This sparse approach to rhythm playing works well when you need to sit back during someone else's solo or vocal line. We're playing the tritone interval embedded in our dominant 7th chords. For A7, it's the G and C sharp. For D7, we drop that down a fret, or we're playing F sharp and C. And finally, we move up from the A7 to E7 while holding this same shape, and we're playing the G sharp and D. In each case, we're playing the major 3rd and the flat 7th of the chord. This is a cool trick, but certainly one that we can punch up a bit, and we're going to do that in example 1A. A little bonus example to add some classy Stormy Monday vibes. We play a full 9th chord here at the beginning of these measures to just kind of set the tone, and we do that over the D and the E bars, and we add this really cool slide move that sounds fantastic. This is our D9 shape, and what we have here is basically coming from this C shape. Think of this C major shape, convert it to a 7th chord by adding the B flat with the little finger on the 3rd string, and if we bring the root that's on the 2nd string up a whole step, then we have the 1 becomes the 2, but since it's above the octave, we call it the 9, and we can get all that happening by converting the fingering here into this shape, and as a matter of fact, we can get that G in there as well. Now this is C9, we're talking about a D9, so we're going to move that up so that our 5th string root is on D. And we can do the same thing, moving up a whole step, and we've got E9. The trick to getting the Stormy Monday sound is to slide with the top 3 strings up 2 frets and then back like this. So you kind of drop away on the 5th and the 4th string and just focus your slide on the top 3. It gives it a really cool sliding sound. And we want to make sure that we carry these tones through the slide, both up and back down. And we want to slide that full step, so 2 frets above our chord right here that's held at the 5th fret. We're going up 2 frets and then back. And we've got to hold the pressure with this bar that's happening with my ring finger here on the top 3 strings through the slide, right? What goes up must come back down. We don't want to lose any notes along the way. And of course, in our example, we do the same thing over our E9. Super classy sound with a ton of space, but when the band kicks things up a notch, you're going to want to fill some of that space with some rhythmic elements, like what we do in example 2. begin developing the groove by embellishing the first beat with a hammer-on followed by a really quick up and down stroke. And we're still keeping the accent on beats 3 and 4, but we're adding these really quick scratches just before the beat. They're barely audible and we're completely muting the strings when we strike them for these notes, so we get a percussive scratch that really helps keep the groove going. Now that we have a busier rhythm, this is a good place to start pushing yourself into different chord shapes. In this example, we used a nice D7 voicing that sits right under our 5th fret position, and we worked in a chromatic move to keep things jumping along. But we also did the same thing with a different shape of E7 that nests right into the same position on the fretboard. But now let's take this idea of changing up the chord voicings to a whole nother level. Now we're cooking, but remember this busy rhythm works best when the music calls for it. In example 3, we're combining a lot of the concepts we covered earlier, just adding a few more chord shapes and switching in between them more frequently. We start the groove up around the 12th fret with an A7 partial voicing, and we're going to use our chromatic trick from example 2. And move that chord around a little bit. Feel free to move that around the way you want to and what feels good in the groove that you're creating. Now, I really like challenging myself by mixing in different voicings of the same chord, or even just tossing in some more complex voicings like this A13 over G. It makes an appearance in the first few bars of this example. And then this voicing of an A7 gets me into a different position on the fretboard, and we're going to leverage that for the D7 measures. So we're starting off these measures over D7 with this voicing barring across strings 4, 3, and 2 at the 7th fret, and then playing the flat 7 C on the 1st string 8th fret. Then I'm moving into this voicing, which we've done before, and then finally this voicing. Now, we haven't approached this as D7, but we have played it as E7 here, and then we even kicked off example 3 up here with that same shape, just in A. So we're just using that same 3-note shape of a 7th chord, and here we've moved it down to the 3rd and 5th frets, and of course the 4th fret there on the 4th string, and we have a D7. So the measures sound like this. Finally, we're going to finish out the progression with 2 simple triad voicings with a little bit of an embellishment thrown in over the E chord and then over the D chord. We're playing an E major triad at the 11th and 12th frets on strings 3, 2, and 1. All right, so we got a little bar on the top 2 strings to do that. And I'm chucking along with the rhythm that we've kind of established by now, and then adding 1 embellishment just by taking my ring finger and my little finger and placing it on the 2nd string 14th fret and then the 1st string 14th fret. Gives us a really interesting moment thinking about this over E. All right, so here we go. And then we drop that down and do the same thing over D. The thing is, having a strong command of chord shapes is really what puts that last example within reach. One of the best ways to start placing bluesy 7th chords all over the neck is covered in this video right here, so watch that one next, practice smart, and play on.